What's going on, Glock? This is a response to some of your comments you have posted on my Linux distros can beat up your Linux distro. And it basically, for the most part, you say I'm an Apple fan who is arguing about the semantics and the development of Linux, or and if any flaws are mentioned within Linux, OS 10, I would defend it. OS 10 has its flaws. You know, I'll name one of the biggest gripes I have with OS 10. I love the dock. Don't get me wrong. Hitting X closes certain programs. Then hitting X just exits the window. So sometimes your system, at least for the iBook I have, has a lot more open processes than it needs to. It's about resources. Even eMake said it. It's resources. And I find that annoying. If I click X, I want it to close for a reason. I don't want it to minimize the friggin' thing. Which is essentially all it's doing when it closes the open window. Anyway, that's just one of my gripes. I have a few more. Yes, I love iLife. I love iMovie. I love iDVD. I love iPhoto. Fact of the matter is, there's other gripes I have with OS 10. Windows, yes, Windows is the biggest nail the hammer because there's so many people that use it. Hence, there's more gripes. Windows I've been through. Linux, it seems like as soon as someone touches one of those third rails, it's all hell breaks loose in the community. It's like, who cares? You mentioned something about a universal package manager. One type of way to install things. It's like touching Social Security in politics. You mentioned some of the issues in Linux that we have, namely the way the community interacts with one another from one distribution to the next. It's retarded. Oh, well, Ubuntu's for noobs. Well, no shit. Oh, God. Someone's going to concentrate on a distro that actually works for, the end user. Now, you get all these other people like Carlos Schroeder from the Linux Foundation who says, what are we making? Fisher-Price computers? Some people just want their shit to work, is really what it boils down to. Not everyone wants to spend time on a CLI. Not everyone wants to learn how to use a computer. They just want stuff to work and install and be humanly usable as possible. And that's perfectly fine. This is coming from a Linux user. It's fine for the end user not to want to know what's going on under the hood. Automobile example. How many of you actually know how your car completely works? Completely. In and out, you can rebuild it yourself. Not a lot of people will say they can. Same idea. So the Linux community who knows how everything works in their car, quote unquote, that they feel threatened because there's been a flood of new users who don't have that technical knowledge. So they actually might have to be useful and helpful, where they're used to essentially being jackasses. Sad but true. That is my point. And my point, as far as Linux distribution can beat up another Linux distro, is the basic argument that is always done. Linux users don't take into account, for the most part, what they're recommending to a user. They don't take into account the skill level of the user. They don't take into account the needs of the user. That is my point. They're going to recommend more than likely what they're using. And that's a problem. Because if you're recommending Slackware or Gentoo to a novice, it's probably not the smartest thing to do. Now, you can argue that they're easy to use. You can argue all this other crap. It's relative to what platform they're coming from, their willingness to learn. If they're not willing to learn, You probably don't want to stick with Slackware or Gen 2. It's just that simple. And that is my point. That is my gripe. One of my gripes with the community. Because sometimes the community is its own worst enemy. And the community is not going to like hearing that.